Sticking it in, out of my mind. How many times did I tell you I'm not being alone? You sticking it in, told me, try my best to lose control. When you're not next to me, I'm floating in paradise in front of you. Can't you see? I lose control. I'm sick in my baby. You make a mess of me. Problematic. Problem is I want your body like a fan, like a bad habit. Bad habits have to break when I'm with you. Yeah, I know I can do it on my own, but I want their reason. Like a magic game, that's true. Problematic. Problem is that when I'm with you, yeah, I'm at it. And